Hello everyone. Today I am here with second and last session on cervical erosion. Hope you all had very good Diwali. Wish you all a very happy new year. Let's first discuss clinical features of cervical erosion. Clinical features includes both symptoms and the signs. So we first start with the symptoms of cervical erosion. Patient may be asymptomatic. That means the patient of cervical erosion may not have any symptoms. So patient may be asymptomatic. If symptoms are present, they may be like vaginal discharge. The very first symptom is vaginal discharge. Now let's see the character of this vaginal discharge. It is profuse, persistent, white, excessively mucoid or mucopurulent. It may be offensive. It may be blood stain due to premenstrual congestion and may be irritant due to infection. The vaginal discharge may be leukorrhea in virgins. In rural India, in the rural part of our country, leukorrhea increases on pond bathing because pond bathing is a common practice among the rural women. So, leukorrhea may occur among them. Contact bleeding either following coitus or defecation, especially during pregnancy, as during this period erosion becomes very vascular and bleeds easily. So, cervical erosion bleeds during pregnancy and we may consider as antepartum hemorrhage. So, if you have remembered, one of the causes of the antepartum hemorrhage may be cervical erosion. So, bleeding per vagina may occur due to cervical erosion during pregnancy. It may occur in OC pill users also. So, the women who are using oral contraceptive pills, they may also have such kind of contact bleeding. Associated cervicitis may produce backache, pelvic pain, and at times infertility. So, these may be the other symptoms of cervical erosion: backache, pelvic pain, and infertility occasionally. Psychological upset due to persistent vaginal discharge, as many illiterate females believe that white discharge is loss of white blood. So, due to this wrong belief, the woman becomes psychologically upset. And whenever there is psychological upset, the woman will present with symptoms like palpitation, sense of unwell, sense of uneasiness, and weight loss. Now we come to the signs. Usually patient is anemic. Patient is usually a parous woman. Cervical erosion is not that much common in the nulliparous woman. So usually the patient is a parous woman and patient is during the childbearing period. It is rare in young virgins and in women within a year or two after menopause. Per speculum examination is very important. It is diagnostic of cervical erosion. Now what you find on per speculum examination? A red granular surface with well-defined margin is visible on vaginal cervix, on the vaginal portion of the cervix around the external os. Both the cervix commonly involved. Both the cervix means vaginal and uterine portion of the cervix. Both the part of the cervix are usually involved. In papillary type, papilla are visible on eroded area. In follicular erosion, the surface of portio vaginalis shows multiple small pearly white translucent molecular elevations, and that we consider as Nabot's follicle, that we have discussed earlier. What is Nabot's follicle? Uterus is normal sized. It may be mobile with clear fornices. Vaginal cervix is felt normal. It is bulky in chronic cervicitis. So when the patient has chronic cervicitis, vaginal portion of the cervix may be bulky. These must be differentiated from early CA cervix. Cervical erosion must be differentiated from early stage of the CA cervix, that is carcinoma of cervix. And this differentiation can be done by pap smear only. Pap smear is diagnostic of CA cervix, that you now know, right? So whenever you are confused in the diagnosis, whether it is CA cervix or cervical erosion, better to go for the pap smear. Now we come to the treatment part of the cervical erosion. Before we start the treatment, let's discuss the management part. Primary health care should be routinely given. If patient is anemic, correction of the anemia is important. Now you know how the anemia can be corrected through the diet as well as through the medicines. Use of deworming drugs. Asymptomatic erosion does not require any treatment. So when the patient does not have symptoms of the erosion, treatment is not needed. Congenital, vaginal erosions occurring during pregnancy, occurring during postpartum period, and occurring among the OC pills users, they do not require any treatment, but follow-up is maintained. You have to maintain the follow-up, right? So the females who are having congenital erosion, virginal erosion, erosion occurring during pregnancy, erosion occurring during postpartum, and erosion occurring among the OC pills users do not require any treatment, but their follow-up has to be maintained. Why treatment is not required? Because they regress by their own. So by the time they will regress by their own. The treatment is surgical, and the standard treatment allopathic side is cauterization. Cauterization is the process where the eroded tissues are burnt with the help of the cautery. So you can say cautery is done, that is electrocautery. And the other way of surgical treatment is cryosurgery. What is cryosurgery? Cryosurgery is the use of extremely cold temperatures to freeze and destroy abnormal tissues. It is used to remove abnormal tissues of the cervix, to treat precancerous tumors, and to control the bleeding. So that is the use of cryosurgery. So cervical erosion can be treated surgically by two ways. Either you go for the electrocautery, where with the help of the hot rod, the eroded tissues of the cervix are burnt so that the healthy nearby tissues will not be affected, right? That is cauterization, the standard treatment allopathic point of view for the cervical erosion. In homeopathy, we have very good drugs for cervical erosion like Ustilago, hydrastase, nitric acid. So they may be used for treatment of cervical erosion. So this was all about cervical erosion. I hope you all could understand the topic nicely. Thank you.